Okay, I think we'll get started. So today we're going to be talking about velocity and acceleration, in particular motion in one dimension. So we'll look at this graphically at first, then we'll look at formula and do an example problem. Okay, so we talked last time about position and the motion of an object through space in this coordinate system. We talked about velocity. What we're going to do here now is plot position now and time. So we're going to add this time variable to our graph to produce a two-dimensional graph here, but one spatial dimension. So there's still motion in one dimension, and then we have a time dimension here to expose that. And we graph a curve that represents the position of the object at any given moment in time. So at this particular time, the object is at that particular position. Now, what we can do is, yes, we could say, okay, here is one velocity, here's another, and draw a straight line between those 2 points, and then take delta x over delta t, and we could get a velocity that way. But that isn't capturing the actual motion of this. For an arbitrary curved surface, we cannot use our delta x, delta t over a big range. And so what we do, and actually this points to calculus, so if you've had some calculus, this will look very familiar. But if you haven't, what we do is we take just a very small change each time. You know, at every single position, we make a small change in time and look at how that position changes. Then, to an approximation, these are not curved, but they're straight. And then we can use our v equals delta x over delta t for these small spots. So this particular spot has a low velocity, so we plot that point there. So this point gets plotted here, this point gets plotted here, this point gets plotted here, and we can see that the slope of that line that's connecting these two, delta x over delta t, the slope of that line is getting steeper. So as we look at this graphically, if we look at the position graph, the velocity graph corresponding to that is the slope, the tangent, what we call this tangent slope, at each point in that curve. And if you had calculus, that's just the derivative. And now we won't need to worry about that. We just need to be able to read from the graph what our expected velocity looks like. Okay. Let's try it on another one. Here, if we look at this point, we have a very steep positive slope, right? If we look at this point, we have a less steep slope. Here, positive slope. Here we have a slope of 0 at this point, and here we have a negative slope. So as we look at this motion, and so this would be like object going forward and backwards, right? Positive and then come back over time. So it ends up in the same position that it started, went to a positive x and then come back to where it started. If we look at this curve, well, initially the velocity is positive, then it's 0, then it's negative. Now, do we know it's exactly a straight line? No, that's a job for calculus. So we don't know that for sure, but this is a reasonable picture to draw for this. Okay, so that is velocity. Now, let's add another term here, acceleration. So acceleration is the change in velocity. It's a vector. Change in velocity, oops, with t. So very similar to the velocity formula, where velocity is the change in position with time, acceleration is the change in velocity with time. Okay, so let's take this first one, and we saw how to get from here to here, right? Well, what we're doing here is we're just doing the same thing again. We're taking a slope, making a point, or taking slope, making a triangle like this, right? And we're capturing all those individual slopes. Well, for this particular graph, each one of these slopes are the same. So it looks like acceleration is constant here. Let's take this one. Again, we saw how this worked. And again, we make a small change, and we get a constant negative, right? Here's a negative number, here's 0. It's negative acceleration down here. So constant negative acceleration. Okay. All right, so we need to be able to read these pictures, but we are going to really limit ourselves to two particular types of motion. One is called uniform motion, and this is when the velocity is constant. So let's take a look at that. Velocity is constant, so it's just a constant here. And now let's see if we can go backwards from this. So we have a constant slope. Well, what's that going to look like? That's going to look like a line with positive slope, right? Because if we were to go back the other way, we would just do this, right? And each one of these is a constant. So this picture going this way looks like a constant, so that picture going back that way looks like this straight line with a positive slope. Well, now let's look at this. What does this do? It's a line with slope 0. It's a flat horizontal line. And so that means this is a 0 acceleration. So the sort of definition of constant, or of uniform motion, is constant velocity, or the acceleration is 0, 0 acceleration motion. Okay, so we're going to now look at the second motion. I'm going to erase this. We're going to look at the second type of motion that we are going to run into. We will actually first let's take and get a formula for this. So v is a constant here now. So I'm going to just write that as v. These should have been vectors. Sorry, these should have been vectors up here. So v is constant. So I'm going to make this a constant, and then that's delta x delta t. But what is that? That's x final minus x initial over, I'm just going to leave this as delta t. And so what we're often looking for is, if we have initial start, if we start at a particular position, x initial, and then we go for a certain amount of time dt, where are we in position? So we just rearrange this here now. These are vectors. Keep forgetting my vectors. We rearrange this now. This is a constant, so I'm just going to call that, let's just call it v subscript 0. So this means this is just a constant. V naught is a constant. So we just rearrange this algebraically. Well, let me take it in steps. So I'm going to bring this over here. Delta t v naught equals x final minus x initial. So x final equals x initial plus delta t. Now, you've caught me here a couple of times not putting the vectors on it. We're actually going to do that here with 1D motion, because we don't really need the vector symbol as long as we keep track of positive and negative, because in one dimension there's only the positive direction or the negative direction. So we're actually going to write our formulas like this, which looks like scalars, and in fact they sort of are, but as long as we're carrying the sign, so a negative x means in this direction, positive x in that direction, then they really are acting as vectors. And that's kind of a confusing thing. Sometimes it's almost one dimension is too simple to be thinking about vectors, and it makes it kind of confusing that way. So this will be our formula for uniform motion here. These really are technically vectors, but we will write it like this, knowing that positive means to the right and negative means to the left. Okay, let me pause the video here and I'll erase the board, and we will look at constant acceleration motion now. Okay, let's look at now constant acceleration. So acceleration is constant, but not negative, or not zero. So the special case of a constant zero is what we just talked about, uniform motion. This is a non-zero constant. Okay, so it's some value up here. So that means that this must be coming from a velocity of constant slope, because the acceleration, the graph of the acceleration, is the graph of the slope of the velocity everywhere. And if the slope is constant, we have a straight line like this with slope equal to a. Well, let's take it one step further. If we have an always increasing velocity, that means we're gaining position more and more and more and more each time. And so we have an upward rising curve like this. And in fact, we have a parabolic curve, or a parabola. So back from high school geometry or algebra, we learned about parabola. If you've had some calculus, see if you can figure out that this should be a parabola. Now, we had the equation from last time, pretty simple equation. That's called a kinematic equation. We're talking about kinematics, this motion of objects. So the kinematic equation for constant acceleration motion is an equation that looks very similar to the last one for the velocity. Right? In fact, it's the same, except that velocity is playing the role of position now, and acceleration is playing the role of velocity now. Then, this equation is going to be one that is going to just end up being kind of seared in your memory. This is one we're going to use all the time, even when we're outside of 1D motion. It'll be used very, very often in 2D motion, and that is the equation for position under these conditions. And we can't derive this without calculus. So again, if you've had some calculus, see if you can derive this equation here. Okay, so basically, it's just involving the different things, like where does it start, where does it finish, what's the initial velocity, how much time is elapsing during the motion, and what is the acceleration. So all those physical quantities are there, and this is the relation. And we're just going to take this now, and again, you derive this using calculus. Well, let's do one example. And then in class we'll have done a couple of more examples. And this is a good one because it brings up a new term, deceleration. We hear that in everyday speak, and so let's do an example here. A car is moving at 15 meters per second, so that means we draw a picture of a car and it's going in this direction, right, plus 15 meters per second, and it decelerates at 10 meters per second squared. Note the units here now, meters per second squared, and that's coming from the formula for acceleration, which we saw earlier. So that's velocity is meters per second, and then we have another per second here. It's in the denominator. So meter per second squared. So when you hear the word deceleration, that isn't something physics really recognizes. Like, we know what that word is, but it's really an acceleration in the opposite direction of motion. So in this case, since it's decelerating at 10 meters per second, that means the acceleration is this way, negative 10 meters per second. So when you want to be able to say, okay, I read the word deceleration, let me translate that into acceleration in the other direction. Okay, so let's first figure out how long will it take to stop. Okay. So let's use our little paradigm here. What do we know? Okay, we know it's moving in this direction. We know some of the quantities. Let's draw a picture. Right? Draw a picture here. Let's put this on a coordinate system. Okay, well, this could be x equals 0. Well, 0, and then this is x final here. Now, we're not really looking for x final yet. We will be. We're not really looking for x final yet. We're looking for how long it took. And so if we look at this equation here, we know the acceleration, we know the initial velocity, and we know the final velocity. Now, how do we know the final velocity? Because it says how long it takes to stop. So we have to read into this that this implies v final equals 0, and then this is v initial. So we know v initial, we know v final, and we know the acceleration. So we can simply solve. So we know each of these, plug this into our equation, rearrange for t, and we get 1.5 seconds. Okay, well, let's look at how far will this go then? Well, what do we know? We put this on this coordinates. We decided this was 0. This was x final. That's what we don't know, right? This is what we're looking for. And so because of our coordinate system, this is 0. We know the initial velocity, right? We need that here. We know delta t actually, right? We did this problem earlier. And by the way, you could have, this problem would have been sort of harder actually if it would have been car moving at 15, decelerates at 10, and we didn't do this problem first. We just jumped into this, right? Because we're going to use what we solved here to get here. And so there might be multiple steps to the path to a final answer to a question. This question kind of helped us out because it took us in steps, and that isn't always the case. And then we know the acceleration. So just plug into our kinematic equation, boom, 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 and we get a stopping distance of 11.25 meters. So basically we're coming in at this speed, we hit the brakes for the deceleration, it takes us 1.5 seconds to stop, and during that time we cover 11.25 meters. Okay, so one example, the homework will give you a lot of other examples, so really try to get this down. The two kinematic equations we learned today, constant uniform motion, and then this set here coming from constant acceleration.